This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co-ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to outpostroastersjc.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for. Morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
It's funny. Our morning so far has already gone from minivans,
hair,
to our hair.
Coffee, to go coffee tips.
Coffee. Yep. Are you a big coffee drinker?
Big. I wouldn't say so. I'm no connoisseur, no coffee connoisseur. But I do drink it most days. I like 7 Brew. 7 Brew. I know that hurts all the small local coffee shops feelings, but it's just fast. I just blow through. If I'm going to, have coffee with a friend, it's much different, but
yeah, I hear you.
But, my husband and I really like a 7 Brew pick me up in the afternoon when we go downtown to pick up our daughter. So
what's your go-to drink?
A dirty chai latte.
Okay. So just a chai latte with a shot of espresso?
Yep.
Yeah. Steamed milk.
Yep.
Do you hot or iced?
Depends on the weather.
Okay.
But for the afternoon pick me up, it's usually iced.
Yeah.
For morning, I do hot coffee.
I hear you.
We're
hot all the way.
All hot.
Even if it's like 1,000 degrees outside,
Yeah.
I just like a hot latte. It's very weird.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll try an iced, or like Brian would be like, hey, let's try an iced. And I'm like, yeah, all right. Because we make it at home.
Yeah.
I have a latte machine.
Okay.
And so I'll, get some ice and I'll do it. And I'm just like, gosh, it just doesn't feel right.
It's just not right.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody's cold, hot coffee. I know up in New England, it's like, Brian, isn't it like cold coffee 24/7, right? I think that's like the thing.
Brad's
It's like iced coffee.
new information.
He's like, what? No. Well, anyways, thank you for coming this morning.
Yes.
We met not that long ago.
At Coffee and Connection, right?
Yeah, right here at Summit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right after Danielle had started working for Jovie. And it was just kind of nice to meet you that morning and hear a little bit. Yeah. So would you mind giving your name and business and kind of what you're all about?
Absolutely. So my name is Briana Garner, and I recently, it's not as recently as it feels anymore, but acquired Jovie Nannies and Sitters. And so we have the Tri-Cities location, Asheville location, and we also just embarked in Knoxville.
Cool.
And so we, it's exactly what it sounds like. We have nannies and sitters, and that people are always like, what is the difference between a nanny and a sitter, right? But the biggest difference is just, are we talking about one person that's with your family, regularly scheduled, could be part-time, could be full-time, but same person, same family with a schedule?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we talking about, drop in as needed, we have a date night or we have a function or whatever, and we need somebody for a few hours, and so that's our sitters. And so we have a pretty good combination of both. We have some after-school nannies. We have full-time nannies. We can always find more if that's what you're looking for. But we also have a great bench of sitters that are available. And we have an app that parents just love how easy that is. But it's not, even in the app, you're not going to see all of the same sitters. For example, Danielle and I, our bench looks different based on ages of our children or needs that we have, or, I have pets and that person doesn't, do pets or,
Yeah.
So there is definitely matching to all of it, even if it's not going to be a regularly scheduled nanny. We still do a lot of things behind the scenes to match your family to the right caregivers.
So this business was already existing here, and then you guys acquired it. What year was that?
It was just last year.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you. It was September of last year. It feels so much longer than that because we started the process of buying the business in January of 2025.
Yeah.
And it took, all the way till September to actually close and do all of that. And I've been to Colorado a few times for training, in person. And so it's a franchise. And so the franchisor brought me out there to do training, several different times. I've already been to an owner boost, which was a lot of fun. And they have just been wonderful. But I'm always just so surprised how many people I encounter on a daily basis that are like, wow, you've really thought of a great thing, or wow, you brought something here. And I'm like, it's been here a while, a long time.
Yeah.
It's been here since I think 2017.
Okay.
And no one knew it existed. And so, that has been my, biggest goal, is just building awareness, consistent visibility in the community, and just trying to get our name out there that, going all the way back to when we moved here in 2018, I needed Jovie and I didn't know it existed, So that has been, the biggest thing, is just trying to make sure that people know that we're here and that we have vetted, great caregivers that are ready to be there when you need them.
Yeah. Where did you move from?
We moved from Florida.
Oh, okay. Where in Florida?
So we grew up in a small town called Palatka.
Okay.
You've probably never heard of it. It's kind of right in the middle of Gainesville, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, so Northeast Florida.
Yep.
That's where we grew up. And then my husband and I both went to college in Gainesville, and then go Gators. And then we moved to St. Augustine. And so we moved from St. Augustine up here.
Cool.
And we moved up here. I knew that's probably going to be your next question. We moved up here for Badcock Home Furniture. So my husband worked for Badcock in St. Augustine, and we wanted to buy stores, or a store. And we had one child at that time, but we were presented with some options from corporate of stores that we could buy, right? And so we drove up here and checked out Greenville and Johnson City, because they were a package deal, in May of 2018, and we moved in August.
Wow.
Yeah. So
just a few months.
Yeah, just a few months. And, we were all in. My husband lured me here with you can stay home with the baby if we move. And I'm like, okay.
So how old was your baby at the time?
He was 8 months old.
Okay, yeah. So very baby.
Yes, very baby. I had, not been back to work for very long. And so, he's like, we could do this. And all of our family was in Florida. So that was really hard. They were very upset that we took the baby and left, right? So, so that's what brought us here. And then COVID, all these other things. Yeah. Badcock actually sold the family business that had been a family business for over 100 years. They sold it. And
wow, that was probably
it was a shock.
Crazy decision too on their part.
Yes, it was. It was a big shock, and it just kind of like, we had put all of our eggs in one basket, and we were like, oh, wow, this is not what we thought it was going to be anymore, right? And so we my husband started another business, in the middle of that, just kind of saw where things were going. And so then October of 2024, the business that bought Badcock filed bankruptcy and liquidated. So that was tough.
Yeah, it's just the hits kept coming.
So we kind of decided at that point, I won't cry.
It's okay.
We decided at that point that we would never put all of our eggs in one basket ever again. So he had the business that he had already started, and he, was still doing that. But I just kind of was browsing, and my brother-in-law had spoken about some opportunities that he saw in his area in Florida on bizbuysell.com. And I'm like, I've never heard of that, right?
By the way, you got me going too. Do you want to go get a tissue or something? Do we have some? Toilet paper. Paper towels. Ooh, you can't come on camera though, Brian.
With your paper towels.
Here. I can't. I'm the kind of person that I can't see somebody cry and not cry.
I cry about everything, unfortunately.
Ditto.
So,
well, side note, me as well. Whether I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm frustrated in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm also somewhat perimenopausal, so I can literally just cry anyways.
Sure.
So it's hilarious. So it's okay. You're completely in good company because if you do it, I'll do it too. And then Brian will be back there and,
He's over there shaking his head like these women just crying about everything. Yeah. So, I was actually browsing at that point. I didn't really have any intentions of me ever being the primary person in any business. It was really just like, what are we going to do next? And I was kind of looking for something that my husband might be interested in also. And I stumbled upon the listing for Jovie, and it didn't obviously say Jovie. It said something like in-home childcare franchise. And I was just genuinely curious what it was, because my first thought was, how do you sell a daycare in your house, right? Yeah. I'm like, you're just assuming that I'll do it at my house?
Yeah.
And I was just really intrigued from the beginning. And I just, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Didn't know it existed. And so I just wanted more information. And so we went through, that process of finding out more. And I have just wanted to know more since then, right? And so we moved forward and we closed in September. And I still feel like I could learn so much more. And there's so many other things that we can do too. We always talk about the in-home, but we do events and weddings and business conferences, and we can do daycare staffing. And so it's like when you finally feel like you figured one thing out, there's more things that we can do. And again, I moved here, I only had one child, and then I had twins. And so I had a 2-year-old and twins, and I needed help. And I hired someone from care.com with no background screening or anything. And I mean, I was going to be there for care, so it was like, no big deal. And it was kind of a terrifying experience. I'm like, she spends more time in the bathroom than she does actually helping. And I'm like, what are we doing in the bathroom? And so it was just like, there has to be a better way to do this, And, if you've lived here forever and you have friends with older kids or, whatever, sometimes you already have a pretty good sitter bench. But then there's the whole, we are W-2 employing them. How are you paying them? Or, and then not just even that, but what if that one person that you have connected with is unavailable on a day that you really need somebody, right? Yeah. It's hard to have your own full bench like we have. And so I think it's really cool. It's not necessarily everybody's replacement for their normal childcare. I'm like, my kids still go to school. My daughter still goes to the preschool. It's just what we were already doing. And but we love to have Jovie sitters. They get excited about Jovie sitters coming over and helping. And we'll probably have a summer nanny this summer. I try to reserve all the caregivers for the families, but sometimes I need them, So it's cool, and I'm still learning every day, but it's been really fun.
And so what did you do then in Florida? Were you working?
I was a nurse.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was an RN, and just before the last school year, so before September, I was working for the last couple of years as a substitute school nurse in Kingsport. So, so I was, very, very part-time, just kind of when they needed somebody or when I could, after having, so my youngest is 3. So we have 4 children. So,
oh, okay. I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah. Right. So we have an 8-year-old, 2 6-year-olds, and a 3-year-old and 2 dogs. So we keep the Jovie sitters
full
busy.
House.
Yeah. Yes.
And so wait, boys, girls, tell me.
I have 3 boys, and the last one is a girl.
Oh, okay. So the twins
are
boys?
boys, identical boys.
Okay. And are they completely identical? Do people have a hard time telling them apart?
They have a really hard time telling them apart. Even family members that, it's like, we're going to take a 50-50 shot here and see if we get the right one. Their soccer coach has been very, very sweet, but he's yelling across the field. He's like, Owen Emmett. And I'm like, it's Owen. He's just saying both names.
Both, for whoever it is.
I'm like, they're numbered at this point, right?
Yeah. Did you dress them the same when they were younger, or did they still dress the same?
So they sometimes would, my grandmother always got them matching outfits. She would get all 3 of them matching outfits. But now that they're 6 and they're in kindergarten, they dress themselves in the morning. And sometimes it's kind of wacky. But one is a little bit more prone to like a nice sweater or a polo, and like he wants to kind of be dressy, and the other one's like, I want to wear, he'll say, I gave him a shirt the other day with skateboards on it, and he said, this is really great, but next time can you get me a hunting shirt? He wants camouflage.
All right.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that. So, he's just more laid back and sporty, and, and it's very funny because I'm like, you share the same DNA. How can you be so different? Like, I don't know what's weirder, how alike they can be or how different they can be.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any twins in your family? Like, do you?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes that's how it happens.
Well, the research that we did, apparently it's fraternal twins that run in families. It's like the woman ovulating 2 eggs that runs in families. The splitting of a single egg is just this freak of nature thing that no one can predict, that we did not predict either.
I mean, nobody can really predict. It's just, they try.
Yeah.
We get asked, so we have 2 boys and they're 16 months apart. And so everybody asks us if they're twins all the time. They're like, are they twins? Are they twins? Because they are definitely into a lot of the same things. And so they'll want the same outfits. And so they'll wear the same outfits. It's just like, whatever. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah,
like,
we still have some of those. But it's funny because my oldest is 2 years older. And they would say for the first couple of years, they're like, are they triplets? And I'm like, he is bigger than them. Yeah. Like, but I guess that's still possible even with, multiples. I remember someone that we knew from a previous preschool, her twin sons were fraternal. And one, I swear, was a foot taller than the other one.
Yeah, weird.
So I'm like, I guess, triplets would be possible. But no, don't wish that on me.
Yeah. One of my best friends is a triplet. And it's weird because when I found out she was a triplet, I was like, I've never met a triplet before. Right. It's like so rare.
Yeah.
And you see, and if she shows you a picture, like none of them, they don't look anything alike. They're all different heights. And it's just really funny. It's like, wow, okay. And it's 1 boy and 2 girls. So it's like everything about it. And so it's just really funny, but it was really cool. You were surprised too when you found out that Angie was a triplet, right? And I actually knew another set of triplets. They were all boys. So I've known 2 sets of triplets in my life, which is very weird.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. And then you remember, I think I just read an article on the Octomom. Do you remember that lady from?
I do.
What year was that?
I don't know.
When was that?
That was a long time ago.
That's the most anybody's been pregnant with, right? Is 8?
I don't know. I actually had a neighbor, like a neighbor of my grandparents. She had quads. So that's 4. That felt like a lot. Yeah. That felt like a lot.
Well, is there anything between? Like, have people had?
I think so. Isn't
6
there like
and 7?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I think it's called sextuplets or something.
Yes, sextuplets.
Yeah.
What's 7?
I don't
know either. Septuplets? Yeah, I think you're right on that one.
Maybe.
But the Octomom, French. I remember that was like...
The Octomom sounds like it's Spider-Man or something.
I mean, yeah, you're like Ursula at that point because you're an
Octomom. You need to be Ursula. You need more hands, that's for sure.
Yeah, you need Jovie's help.
Yes, you do. You need a couple Jovie sitters. Yeah.
So are you guys done having kids? I know it's always a weird question. Like when people ask, it's always like, well, I mean, it's not really up to us. It's like, okay, whatever God decides.
Oh, well,
but
we did do some things to make sure that wouldn't happen again. So because of the twins and, I had C-sections. So with the twins, we were kind of like, we're not sure if we're done. And it was actually Dr. Harvey at SoFi. I'll never forget. He looked at me and he said, if you're wavering at all, don't do it. Because we were like, maybe we will do a tubal this time. Yeah. And he's like, if you're wavering at all, don't do it. And I'm so glad that we did it because obviously now we have our daughter and she is the queen bee. Let me tell you, the boys do anything she says, but we love her obviously. And so we were really happy to have her. We did accept that like, okay, number 4 could be another boy, but I just wanted, we had 3 so quickly. They were only 2 years apart. And it was like, are we really done? We just weren't ready to be done. Yeah. But now we are done. We are done. And the, 2 dogs definitely add to the chaos. So
can you have twins naturally in this day and age? I'm not sure you can.
I did.
You did?
Yes.
I thought it was like an automatic C-section.
I'm sorry. No. I did have a C-section.
Okay.
When you said naturally, I was thinking IVF, like that. Because I get that question all the time too.
Yeah. No, I meant like giving birth.
So
I don't think you're allowed anymore.
I think they asked me if I wanted to.
Really?
But I had already had a C-section with my first son. And so it was like, do you want to try to do, a VBAC now? Yeah. And I said, no, there's 2 of them. I'll pass. But yeah, I do think you can.
Yeah.
I think what's probably happening more often is just complications around having twins and things like that, like maybe it's not, because even when I went into labor, only one twin had actually broken like the water and was ready. The other one was still all comfy. And I know that they can break your water without doing a C-section, but I just think that that's probably what's happening more often with the twins, is that there's other reasons why they've decided to go ahead and do a C-section.
Yeah.
But I worked with a woman when I was a nurse in St. Augustine that, I think her kids were around my age, so it was a long time ago, but she gave birth to her first baby, and then they were like, okay, get ready to push again. She didn't know she was pregnant with twins. Wow. And she had twins. And I'm like, that's wild.
That would be
wild.
Yeah.
So that, I'm thankful that we are where we are at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you still hear all those crazy stories about that people didn't know they're pregnant.
People didn't know they were pregnant.
They go to the bathroom and then it's just, I don't understand.
I don't
conceivably.
either.
I'm not.
Especially after like feeling what a baby feels like when it's moving around. Like, I don't know how you missed that, but
it's not undigested food, guys.
It happens.
Yeah. It feels different. I don't know. It's very odd. So then what was your specialty with nursing?
So I worked actually in a group home in St. Augustine. I never worked in a hospital. It just wasn't my thing. I think I realized that mid-nursing school, and I was like, well, I'm going to finish, but I don't know that I'm ever going to do bedside nursing.
Okay.
So I worked in a group home in St. Augustine with adults that were intellectually disabled. And then I have dabbled in some like work from home care management. Okay. And then I did the school clinics.
Well, that's cool. So that's I bet you have some interesting stories from working there. Yeah. And then choosing to not go into a hospital probably was an interesting decision too. Is there anything like any stories where you're just like, I don't want to do that? Or did you at least try going into a hospital and working?
No, I didn't. Actually, straight out of nursing school, I just knew that was not my thing. And I applied to that group home and started working there. And I worked there for a few years before we moved up here and started staying home with my kids. So I don't know that nursing was the best choice for me, but at a young age, it was like I required myself to have like my degree was going to be something that I could get a professional license, and I knew exactly what I could do. Like the unknown of like, let me get something very broad and I can go work somewhere and move up. Like I just, I could not deal with that for some reason. And I wish that I don't want to say I wish that I would have, but I think that there's benefit to that, to being a little bit more like, I'm not sure what I want to do and I should, but I just, from a very young age, I'm like, no, it has to be, I have to know exactly how this plays out. And so, because mid-nursing school, it was like, well, it's not this, but I thought that I might, go back for like nurse practitioner or something like that. And I really just ultimately didn't want anything that someone else was going to tell me, you have to be here from 8 to 5 every day and you can't go pick your kids up. And so, it's funny because it's like a double-edged sword with Jovie of like, yes, I use sitters and I, am telling everybody that like, here's childcare, here's vetted childcare. And it's like, but I also did this so that I could pick my kids up from school. I did this so that I make my schedule and I am flexible and I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I'll get a Jovie sitter when I, want to, but no one else is telling me I can't pick my kids up from school. Yeah. And I think that's different for everybody. Some people are like, I'm not going to go sit in that car line. I'll get somebody to do that and I can finish working. And then, but for some reason, the school thing was always important to me. And now my kids are like getting a little bit older, kindergarten, LOL, but they think they're getting older. And they're like, can we ride the bus next year? And I'm like, that's not a terrible idea. I spend an hour in your car line every afternoon.
Oh my gosh. I was just going to ask you, like, I feel like riding the bus is a total thing of the past. I mean, I don't think I had a choice. Well, one of my schools I could walk home from.
Yeah.
So like I could walk to and from school. But one of them was like 30 minutes away. I had to take the bus. But I feel like kids don't take the bus anymore.
Well,
at
at the
all.
size of the car line, I can tell you, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think my problem with the kids riding the bus has been that the school is K through 8. And I just feel like a kindergartner and an 8th grader don't necessarily belong in the same area. And I know my experiences riding a bus as a kid was not. I'm like, yeah, there's things, she's driving. There's a lot of things going on back there. Yeah. But as I have spoken to other parents, I have heard that they keep like the smaller kids at the front and then, and all of these things. And the bus arrives to our house before I do. And so I'm like, well, they're not on it very long. I mean, so I'm starting to cave that I'm okay with the bus next year. Right now, it has just made sense because I pick our daughter up from the preschool at 2. And so she and I just go straight to the car line. I have a nice little tray that hooks to my steering wheel and I work and she's watching a movie in the back and having a snack. And so we just chill until the boys get out and then we all go home. But, as her schedule gets kind of the same as theirs, maybe it would be better to just let them all ride the bus.
They have seatbelts now.
And on the bus?
Yeah. Did you know that?
I mean, technology.
Brian, where was that? Where were we? It was, it was at Kingsport. They had like a truck days or something. I'm sure you guys were probably there too. They had all of the, big excavators and they had like street sweepers, all the trucks, the what?
It's like a touch-a-truck.
Yes. Touch-a-truck. And they had a giant school bus that, kids could go in and like honk the horn, which was, it was too loud. It was way too loud. Because all the kids, they walk in and honk the horn. And so we got on the bus and I was like, Brian, there's stinking seatbelts on buses now. And he was like, what? And so we looked and we were just like beside ourselves because like growing up, like the best thing on the bus was hitting the bumps. Because then you're like,
I have to tell you, by about 5th grade, my friend and I, we were, the oldest because our school was only K through 5. Mm-hmm. And our stops were kind of further out than everybody else's. And we would lie on the floor and slide under the seats. So when she hit the brakes, we would fall all the way to the front. And I think at some point she realized that we were doing something of that nature and she would start counting. And she
looked in that mirror,
get up there as fast as we could. And I'm like, I can't believe that. That's what I'm picturing when my kids are like, can we ride the bus? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
You did it. You're fine. Did your parents know that you were doing that?
No, they had no idea. So funny to think about now, but.
And you never like ended up in gum or anything?
I mean, not that I recall. I think we would put our like jackets down under us.
Okay.
But I mean, I have no doubt we lost that halfway. I mean, I don't think we stayed on that.
For sure.
That's pretty gross. It was fun.
Yeah.
I remember it being quite fun. But.
I think Brian's throwing up in his mouth right now. Probably.
Oh, goodness.
Gum would be my biggest nightmare.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recommend it, but.
Yeah. Well, you can't do it now. You got seatbelts. Kids can't. They gotta. Yeah. They probably have a whole thing.
Do you think that they have like a little diagram that shows them, like if the kids are? That's a thing. Apparently, all cars, I think it's 2026, all new cars are going to show you whether or not the seatbelts are actually clicked in your car.
What do you mean? Like there's going to be a light?
So so you know how like right now it'll tell you that you're not, but not the passengers in the beeping, back. Yes, it's going to show you the whole car.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be like required in all future vehicles.
What'd you say? Oh, did it? Even for the back? There we go. Minivan.
Yeah. Which I think is great because at this point, the boys are all in like boosters, right? And I'll hear a click and I'm like, what was that? Like, why are you just now buckling? I didn't know that you weren't buckled. I told you to buckle, right? So, I mean, I think it's a good thing, but I'm wondering if the school buses are going to have something like that eventually.
I mean, I don't know. Probably not.
That seems really.
Probably not for a little while.
Yeah.
Seems
advanced.
Seems like a pretty big expense.
Sure.
For the school districts at this.
But my understanding was that it's required by some power powers that be. So I don't know. It'd be interesting.
What is that? When you were talking about St. Augustine, so I lived in Florida for 11 years, but I was in Tampa. And I went up to St. Augustine because it wasn't that far, a couple hour car drive.
Yeah, 3-ish.
What's that really famous lighthouse that it's like over 200 steps to get to the top?
You're asking me the name of it?
Do you remember?
I know exactly what lighthouse you're talking about. Does it have
Yeah.
a name?
Because I think I remember that I got a T-shirt
I
that
think
said
it's just like St. Augustine Lighthouse,
is
right?
it?
I
It
don't
was
know.
something like I climbed 253 steps and all I got was
It's a
this
lot of steps.
T-shirt. Yeah. Well, it's like
I was
really
actually
thin.
in a wedding at the lighthouse.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't think we went up. I was little.
Okay. Well, if you were little, that would have been a lot of steps.
I think it's just St. Augustine Lighthouse. I'm not sure that it has like a fun name.
A name.
When you said that, the fort like popped into my mind, but that's Castillo, San something Marcos. Oh gosh, my brother-in-law, if he hears this, he's
They're going to be
really
like, what? You don't remember?
Yeah.
You've only been gone for a few years. What year was it? 2018 when you moved up here?
2018.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my grandparents still live on A Street in St. Augustine. When we lived there, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and their kids lived there as well, but they live in Lakeland now, so not too far from Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have family down there. They're in Land O'Lakes, though.
Bradenton, too.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a lot of family in Florida, so we go back in the summer.
Yeah, it's an easy drive. It's not too bad.
It's not bad, no. 26 and 95.
And
about it.
Is Jovie nationwide? So do they have it
Jovie
down there too?
is nationwide.
Okay. We said it's a franchise, so.
It is nationwide, and I do know the owner of most of the Florida locations. She's very sweet and very knowledgeable. And so, yeah, she has like Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, all of the major areas. And then there's another owner in Miami, but she has most of Florida.
So it's nanny, babysitting, and then is there any partnerships with daycares or anything? Like, I know that's probably a very big question and something probably that you guys have thought about or maybe currently tackling. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's something that we have been working on that a lot of the other owners are already doing is just daycare staffing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, backup basically of like your staff is low and you don't want to have to like close classrooms,
Mm-hmm.
We could come in and do that. And so if we, have a partnership with a lot of different daycare centers, then that allows us to keep someone busy.
Mm-hmm.
And, they may not know where they're going to go on a daily basis, but they know that they're working today. And so then it's like, okay, we're going to send you here or there. And there's, obviously different state requirements to work in a daycare center. So there's certain people that will have ready to do that. But that is something that we, can also do that we have been working pretty hard on. Another one of the owners in like the Atlanta, Charlotte area, she does a lot of the daycare staffing. So I've been working with her of, just trying to learn more about what that looks like. It's not something that they really previously did much of here with the previous owner. So.
Well, then I think just the influx of all the people moving here. I mean, we're starting to see just even with like dentists and like if there's certain professions and there's certain things like daycares where the waiting list now is like insanely long because we just keep having so many people move.
Right. And so that's another thing that we have, said to daycare centers too, is that we just want to be a resource for, a wait list. In Knoxville, the YMCA, we spoke with a lady from there and she told us that they have a 2.5-year wait list in Knoxville at almost every center. And it's just like that. So then you have to know that you're having a baby before you even start trying to have the baby to get them on a daycare list.
So what are these families doing?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. Hopefully they'll find out about us and, we can help them. But wait lists is a big one. And then even if you do get them into the program you want, let's just use my daughter's preschool as an example. It's 9 to 2 and they're out the entire summer. So what are you doing all the other time? So it's a hurdle, it's not, I don't think that we are the perfect solution to all of that. I think that we need more daycare centers. I think that there are many benefits to group care but then there's also families that group care is just not for them. Another thing that Danielle and I talk about all the time is like, what about nurses and other people that just have an unusual schedule, right? Like the daycare centers, some of them are really great and stay open later and then some close at 2 or 5 or whatever. And a typical, nursing shift is 7 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for the abnormal hours? And so even if you don't want, full-time nanny, we could do after school care. That doesn't have to be, school age. That could be they go to daycare and then they get picked up by the nanny and they watch them at home for the rest of the evening or whatever that looks like for your family. So
Yeah.
Or weekends, I don't know of any daycare centers that are open on the weekend.
Yeah, probably not.
I think most of those families are probably switching off, but not everybody has that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's just different because we're living in an age where everything is expensive right now.
Yeah.
And it's like that catch-22 of, especially with moms working, it's like, okay, because I know so many moms that are like, I have kids, I have to go back to work, but I'm going to be spending my entire paycheck on childcare. So it's like, then it's that draw of, do I even go back to work?
Right.
Because all that is going to go because childcare is in such high demand and there's not enough. And then, everything is like, it's just that weird balance of times that we're living in right now.
Yeah. Sure.
Especially as everything like continues to climb. So you've gone through this personally.
Yeah.
And so now you have Jovie since September.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of these big pitfalls that you're going to try and maybe address or help in this area, or that's a big focus for you?
Sure. So yeah, we're certainly not going to be the most cost effective. I think that when you have a one-on-one, you just know that that's going to be different.
sure,
Now,
for
if
sure.
you have, like me, if you have multiple children that are young, it kind of evens out. And again, sometimes we're just the temporary solution until you do get into the group care that you want, or, the daycare center that you want. And so we're really just trying to figure out how we can best support the need, And so maybe you're a mom you're seeing that like, I'm going to spend most of my paycheck on childcare, but maybe you know yourself and you want to work. Or maybe you don't want to fall behind in your career, or whatever your reason is that you want to go back to work. How can we help? And so I think the biggest benefit to what we do is that flexibility of, you don't have to commit to the daycare that's, 40 hours a week or whatever. Maybe you're going to go back to work part-time, or your spouse and you are going to split days and you just need care 2 days a week. We can really be flexible in helping with that. Or like we spoke about, the after school care, all of those different things. And so, and maybe we're not the right solution for your family, but we can help the daycare centers with staffing. And so we're constantly looking for just where can we be, the most help and the best resource for everybody in the community. And at the end of all of that, maybe you don't need any of that, but maybe you want to have a date with your spouse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you want to be able to do something. Maybe you are a stay-at-home mom and you love that and you're good with that. That's great. I did it for years and I loved it. But you still need time. I mean, that's essentially why we started our first son, when it was just me and him at home. And he started going to part-time preschool fairly young, just 2 days a week, because I'm like, I'd like to be able to go to a doctor's appointment by myself, like, and my husband was just starting in the Badcock store. And so he was working, 19 out of 20 days, and starting over and key to key. And so it was like, well, I'm going to put him in this program so that I can have a few minutes. I can clean the house or, whatever. And so, there's that too of like, maybe you work from home and you don't want the child to be in the home. And so we're just not the right fit for you. But how can we help, in other ways? And so we can do nanny shares. That's a big thing that would help with cost too.
What's that mean?
So a nanny share would just be that you and another family, and now, there's a lot of logistics with that. But you and another family, have decided, I have 2 kids, you have 1 kid, whatever that looks like. And we want to do this, or we need to do this because we're on wait list, whatever. For the summer, we could do a summer nanny share when the preschool's closed all summer. but we want to split the cost, right?
Okay.
We like, and we actually do have a family that does that. They're brother and sister, and so they live really close to each other. Like the parents are brother and sister,
Yeah.
and they live really close to each other, and so they've had the same nanny filter through all of their kids for years now. And it works. It works for them, and so that's actually really big in other places. And I think it's just now something people are starting to talk about in Tri-Cities and Asheville and even Knoxville. But that's a good one. That's a good one because you get the what you're looking for. You want like a nanny at home or whatever. And especially if you have like just one or two kids, and so to a friend or somebody that lives close by, it's just a little bit trickier to find. It's almost like they need to come to us with like, hey, I already know somebody that's having a baby around the same time as me, and we would like to do this. And then it gets into like, okay, do you have the same values and routines, and whose house are we going to do care at? So there's just, different things that need to be discussed to make that work, but we can do it. And, we can bill each person separately without an issue and all of that. So like we take on all of the payroll and HR and all of that so that the families aren't worrying about any of that.
One less thing they have to do.
One less thing. You're not looking through resumes. You're not doing background screens. We're all set up and ready to do all of that. So that's a big part too. And one of my, little secret passions, I always think about my friend. She owns a restaurant in Colorado, and she always talks about making serving an acceptable career path, right? Like why do we think that being a server is not acceptable, right? And so that was one of her big things with her restaurant, is that she's like, I want to support my servers in such a way that they want to stay, and this is their home, And so same thing with our nannies and sitters, of like, when you're W-2 employed and you can actually go like buy a car and do things that you need to do, it's just different, right? And so it makes it an acceptable career path for our nannies versus just being employed by someone down the street and not doing those things the right way, right?
Yeah.
They can't go do things that they need to do if they're not W-2 employed. So that, I feel like that's always back burner when we talk to parents, that I don't think that they really see the benefit in that. And so we're trying to really explain, that's a big thing for the caregivers, and it helps with retention and all of those things when they feel valued and supported by us. So
for sure, and it only helps the community because you're actually pouring into those people,
right?
As opposed to just treating them like a number of we need to get X more nannies in here, so just hire some more people and let's do this, and then restaurants, and there are different jobs that have a little bit more of a transient feel.
Sure.
Because of that. I mean, I was a waitress when I was in college. Oh my gosh. I worked at a seafood place. I don't even like seafood. But I worked there. I'm glad I did, because it gave me some really good experiences, especially of dealing with people that are in the service industry.
Right.
Like I know how difficult it is.
It is, yeah.
But it just really helps to pour into the community that way and help them feel a part, and and also not make them feel bad if that's also what they want to do. And
right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You to stay here, and like there's some natural attrition, right? Kids grow up, and so now it's like we're gonna have to find you another family, and that's hard for them. It's like being a teacher, right? It's like you lose your kids every year and have to get a whole new set, but. So there's some natural things that happen that like it's run its course and that family doesn't need care anymore. But everybody's having new babies too. So, it's I would love for all of our current nannies to stay with us forever because they're wonderful. But also, we just had coffee with one of our nannies last week, and she's like, I don't know when this family's done in the summer. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do nannying, or I might really follow. She's a realtor, and she's like, I might be ready to do that full time. And I'm like, that's wonderful. How can we support you? And so she's like, we're keeping that line open because she feels comfortable telling us. It's not like she's afraid to tell us that she might be leaving at the end of the summer. We're just like, okay, great. How can we help? Yeah. So we have a great team, and I love them all dearly. We try to do, meetups and things that we get to spend some time together because it's a little bit of a lonely position,
For
right?
sure.
Like
Is
they
it
love kids, but then like you don't ever see. And that's where, the churches and events and other things that we do are so much fun for them because they actually get to work in a group and that's not the norm, daily. So they really enjoy, working with different churches in the community or, events that we do where they get some more of that time with each other.
How big is your team?
In Tri-City specifically, we have about 30 nannies
Okay.
and sitters.
Okay. And then you said you just branched out to
We
Knoxville,
just
right?
branched out to
Okay.
Knoxville.
Do you have anybody there yet?
We do. We have
Oh, okay.
we have one that is fully onboarded and ready to go in Knoxville, and then we have, it's always like available hours versus how many people we actually have is sometimes different, but we have about 10 in Asheville.
Okay.
So
what's the onboarding look like? I'm assuming
so
lots of different trainings and
yes. So we do training. Obviously, we do the background screening. We collect references and speak with them personally. And then we do, after they kind of do some of these online trainings, we meet either virtually or face-to-face and kind of review everything. Obviously have to do like payroll onboarding. If we know specifically that they're going to be working with an infant, there's additional like infant trainings. And so we do a lot of different things just to make sure that they, feel comfortable before their first shift.
Yeah.
Some app training, right? Because working a new app can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but
every time.
So that's
new
mostly,
apps are always difficult.
Yeah. So that's mostly, and then there's like, just kind of the process, right? So you get booked and you now go into the app and confirm, and now you're going to make this call. And so here's some questions you should ask on this call. And so like just teaching our processes of like we want to stand out from the neighbor watching your children. So these are the things that we do, the extra steps that we take to be set apart and to show, that we're professional and that, so it's fun. It's different to them because they're like, wait, we've never had to do these things. But they appreciate it. It's like, they feel like it's important. So, we're constantly hiring. Again, natural attrition, college students leave or whatever. So we're always looking to hire good people. And we're really, yes, we require experience and we require a lot of things. But my biggest thing in an interview is just culture fit. Are you going to be the right person for the families and for our team and all of those things? And so there's certain things you can teach and certain things you can't, right?
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever had to take somebody out of a family just because and nanny somewhere else because it just hasn't worked? Is there a trial period for that?
There is. We haven't had to with like a nanny placement that like you're going to be one-on-one, but we have had a few sitters and families that they did, a couple shifts with that family and they were like, listen, we're just not a good fit for various reasons. It's not, of course I'm always like, did something happen? I kind of panic and I'm like, I need to know if we should send anyone else there. Right. Like, I'm like, what happened? But sometimes it's just silly stuff. Like a child that, 7 or 8 years old and just really into sports and really upset that she didn't know anything about sports and that she like wouldn't participate in the games and would, tell her specifically that he preferred another sitter over her. So she's like, I've tried, I've been there multiple times. I just don't think that I'm the best fit. Yeah. It's not that she's like, I will never go there again. She's like, I just don't think that we are the best fit. And so those are the things that we try to capture beforehand to, match them with the best options for their family. But the sitter, is a little bit more laid back than a full-time nanny, right? That it's like, okay, all these people will work for you. But our wonderful computer system, it's very easy for us to say, this nanny is not going to work with this family anymore. And so then they're just not even going to show up to them in the app to book anymore. So that's really nice. It's not like we have to be like, wait, don't book that person. We don't have to say anything. We can just do that. And it's like, so typically, I think we do enough things before nanny placement that we have not had that issue of like, this is not going to work. But the sitters, it's like, well, we're kind of doing a little bit of a trial run here of like who, and the parents, when they're in the app, can heart the people that they have used and liked, and then they're going to be the first ones to show up to them. And so I haven't had any families that are like, don't send that person over here anymore. You know, they all love everybody. It's just sometimes there's different reasons that they're maybe not the best fit.
Yeah. Did you babysit when you were younger?
So I am the oldest of 3 children.
Okay.
And so I babysat. Well,
Brothers or sisters?
I have a sister and a brother. And so I babysat my siblings. I babysat my friends.
How much older are you?
My parents' friends' kids. I mean, I babysat everybody. I am 7 years older than my sister.
Okay.
And 11 years older than my brother.
Oh, okay.
So I am the oldest child, oldest grandchild, niece, all of the things.
Yeah.
My mom would tell you I'm the mom of the family. So yes, I grew up babysitting them. I mean, every day after school, full summers, we were latchkey kids, but their friends' kids, for date nights, we always had a full house and I was in charge. When my husband and I met in high school, my siblings were still really little. My brother was like 3. And he'd say, why did they come ask you? Your parents are here. And I'm like, because they were with me for most of the day before the parents got home, right? Yeah. And it just it defaulted to, they were asking me for permission all of the time. And I'm like, Mom is here, So my little brother's a firefighter in Knoxville now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's sweet.
So he left Florida?
He left Florida. So my parents and my siblings followed us.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, not right away. But my parents live here now, and my brother moved here and then decided to go to Knoxville. And my sister was here with us, went to, where did she live? Wilmington. Okay. And then she's back.
North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
is that the beach?
It is. It was almost as far as Florida. I went and saw her one time. I'm like, you're just a different direction, but you're out here.
Yeah. Just over instead of down.
Yeah.
Really.
And she liked it there, but she's partial to my children. She always has been. So she really wanted to come back closer. And so she's back and she works at UTSU.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So wait, do your brother or sister have kids?
No kids yet.
Okay.
My sister, I don't know, maybe in the next couple of years. She'll say like, oh, by the time I'm 28. And then she's like, wait, I'm going to be 27 this year. And I'm like, yeah. So she's like, okay, maybe 29, But my brother, I mean, he just turned 21. He's just doing the firefighting.
Yeah.
He's hanging out.
Yeah, he's 21.
He's got a dog. Yeah. I'm like, you're good. You're good. But they're really sweet.
That's really cool that they all came.
They did.
How many years did it take your parents to get here?
Oh, my mom actually moved here a few months before my dad. Kind of got everything set up. I'm trying to remember if my brother's 21 now. I think my dad stayed back with my brother until he graduated, and then that's when they moved. So it's been a few years, probably 3 years now.
Do you think your grandparents will come too?
Oh, they did.
Oh, they did too?
They did.
Oh.
They don't live in Johnson City. That they moved to Talbot. They built a house over there. That? It's about an hour away between here and like Gatlinburg. Like it's off of 81. Their friends. So, small world. Their friends, they raised children in South Florida. Okay. So my grandfather was a firefighter for Lauderhill in Fort Lauderdale. And so their friends from the fire department retired before them, bought property in Talbot, like because of the pretty view. And I guess that's what you do when you're retired. And so they bought property over there and built a beautiful house. And so then my grandparents are like, we're going to build a house across the street from them and we'll only be an hour from you. And they sold beautiful property on the river in Palatka that, had been in the family for a really long time. And they were sad about leaving it, but, expensive. We talked about this. So taxes being canal and river were just crazy. Yep. But it was an investment in their future. They were able to sell that house there for enough that they built the house here and they're set. So it was great. And so they traded the river for the mountain view and they're really happy. So they're only an hour away and they have plenty of room for us. So we like to go and stay with them sometimes. And they will give us theater tickets and keep the kids while we go use their theater tickets. Yeah. And so they're great.
You have to say theater.
Theater.
Now that you're here.
Oh.
It's the Tennessee way.
I didn't know.
Right? Danielle?
Right.
How do you say it?
Theater.
We did.
Wait.
Theater.
One more time?
Theater.
Theater?
She's not from here either, though.
Theater.
She's cheating.
Also from Florida. I'm right there with you all.
So we did have the learning curve of Ville versus Vol. Like you don't say Greenville, you say Greenville.
Yeah, like Sevierville.
We didn't know that.
Yeah.
We learned that.
But wait, when did you move here? How long have you been here?
Well, so
Wait, I thought you were from North Carolina.
Well, I'm originally from Florida, but my family moved to Boone, North Carolina.
Okay, yeah.
When I was young.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been in this area for 10 years now.
Okay. So that counts. So that's why then. But I do know that theater, you do have to say it that way here. Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. We moved from the Northeast. So, and I'm originally from the Midwest. So occasionally you'll hear me say like, oh my gosh, like you'll hear it in my O's. And then people will be like, wait a minute. And I'm like, yeah, there it slipped out a little bit. But the Midwest I'm not Norwegian. The Norwegian Midwest is where you have like the, oh yeah, like that's when you have the,
okay.
There was, growing up, there was a radio show. It was the Sven and Oli show. And it was like on the radio and it was just these two guys and you could call in and ask them like how to fix things. And it was absolutely hilarious. But their accent was super thick. And whenever I talk to, friends from the Midwest, I just hear it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I ever sound like that? Yeah. But I don't think I had, my accent was ever that thick, but now I've been gone from the Midwest for so long. Now I just kind of have like a melting pot. It's not really. I
feel like it's all relative, right? Because I lived in Pennsylvania until I was 7 and then we moved to Florida, which I was born in Florida, moved to Pennsylvania back. But my cousin in North Carolina, I feel like has more of a Southern accent than I do. But then we were in DC a few weeks ago and someone there asked me where we lived and I said Tennessee and he's like, oh yeah, I can hear it. And I'm like, I don't sound like the people in Tennessee, do I? Right? Like everybody just hears different things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny.
Like, I don't think I have an accent, but then sometimes certain things I say, I'm like,
sometimes some words come out.
Heard it.
Yeah. So is your husband doing the business with you or is he still doing furniture? What's his gig?
So we kind of skated over that, but he's in the business that he started while we were phasing the furniture out. So he started a business. It's called Garner Fuel.
Okay.
His stepmom has been in fuel transports for 30 years. And so he kind of was talking to her about what she does and branched off into that. And so that's what he does daily.
What does that mean? What does he do?
Yeah. So he has drivers.
Okay.
They're owner-operators, and he has tankers. So they hook his tankers to their trucks or tractors, I think they call them. And they go pick up fuel from the terminals, and they take them to gas stations, bulk plants, different things. And, yeah, so there's a whole business around just getting it from point A to point B because that's not everyone does that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of requirements around transporting fuel.
Oh,
so
it's highly flammable.
Oof.
So
yeah, the insurance alone is scary, but
yeah. So when did he start that?
He started that 2022, I think. Okay. And he just kind of slowly started it and just, we still had the furniture store. So it was just like, let's see what comes of this. We were starting to try to diversify. And so he still does that. He actually recently acquired his stepmother's business. And so now he has her drivers as well. But just like anything else, it kind of, it's like we have work, we need more drivers. And it's like, now we have a bunch of drivers and we need more work. And so same thing with, I have sitters, I need more clients, there's just a ladder all the time of like, okay, what makes most sense? And, he likes it. It's just, I don't know. We just want to have multiple things. We don't ever want to do one thing ever again. So he is somewhat involved in Jovie, not daily by any means, but like he went to, Owner Boost with me. Like he's also kind of learning like different things. We've talked about him being a little bit more involved, but again, I'm like, no, I want you to focus on that because we don't want to just focus on one thing. So we always have done things together, but, maybe alongside each other a little bit more.
Yeah, I hear you. But that's they're two very niche businesses though too.
Yeah.
Which is, we can relate, right?
Sure.
We can. We've got two businesses also between the two of us.
Right.
So, and we're just a husband and wife team all the time. So it's just kind of one of those things too. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Because we own Gumball Properties. So we do corporate rentals.
Right.
So fully furnished homes. And then photo video, and Brian's a crazy drone pilot. So he's like awesome with his
Very
drone.
cool. Yeah.
And so it's really funny. And so the same thing. We'll talk to people and they'll be like, wait, those two businesses. And I'm like, well, they work because we do all of our own photo, video, and like anything that we need, or like things like this. And it's just kind of sometimes how God takes you in different directions. It's just like, okay.
I just kind of, yeah. So, the fuel thing was just kind of in conversations with, his stepmom over all these years. And it just kind of piqued his interest. And, he's like, well, I could do that from here. But most of his drivers are in Florida. All of his drivers are in Florida, Georgia, actually, not even here. So it was like, well, I can still do that from here. So when we were trying to add things kind of to the portfolio, it seemed like an easy thing to get into. It was not as easy as we anticipated, but I think that always happens. But just, the insurance and things like that was tricky to start on your own, and things that his stepmom didn't even realize were going to be as difficult because of prior relationships that she had, that she was still working with them. And it was like, okay, once you're totally on your own, it changes things. Right. So it was a learning curve. And I feel like now it's just like, okay, we've done all of those things. You're going to have to see it through, and like, we're going to keep doing this. So, and then Jovie, it was just like, I kind of fell into it. And I think, because of what it is, it was like, well, that's going to be more you than me. Right. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be. There are plenty of men that are the franchise owners, but, I do think there's benefit for the caregivers to, like, they just feel like they can talk to me and relate to me. And same with the families, right? So I do see that like something about being woman-led is definitely a benefit. And I think a lot of the male owners within the franchise have kind of gone to, like, they have, a woman as a manager or something that's doing more of those things. So yeah, we have kind of just found I couldn't imagine being his stepmom working with like the drivers and the guys, but he does it well. And like, I'm kind of doing the woman thing. And I know that that's not really like how people do things anymore, but it works for us.
Yeah, it works for you guys.
Yeah.
Was it hard to buy a franchise?
It was.
Because franchises are their own animal in and of themselves. And I know that some people, I think there's somebody here at Summit, right, Danielle, that he just focuses on. Yeah, Rich.
Rich Land.
Yep. And he's amazing to talk to, because like just talking about franchise and different opportunities and things like that. So how difficult was it to buy a franchise that was already existing?
It was easier than I thought it was going to be.
In what aspect?
It just, I don't know. I was really nervous about like the approval process. Like, like I was going to be under a microscope. And I think, it's a small enough franchise, even though it is big, it's a small enough franchise that I think that they were a little bit more focused on culture fit. The other things were kind of like, okay, you can check these boxes, that's fine. But then like, we just want to talk to you, right? So it was easier than I thought it was going to be. And Badcock was technically not a franchise. It was a dealership. And so it didn't have the same things available. So this was actually a cool experience. Like, it's like, as an actual franchise, there are a lot of, the franchise disclosure document, a lot of things that they are required to just give you. You don't have to really like pry for information about the company that you're going to be involved in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it was, it was easier than I thought it would be to do that. Now, the process of just like, now I'm buying this one specific person's business, like that was a little bit more complex and a little bit more like, I don't know enough about the business yet to know the right questions to ask, or, like that was a little bit scarier than actually like the franchise approval process. So
you took over in September.
September 1st.
It's just been a learning curve since.
Before, since, it's just.
What's been your favorite thing so far?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I think just Danielle's pointing at herself. Danielle has definitely changed a lot of things coming on just with our local presence and things like that. But I still think my favorite thing is just someone that and we've had a lot of instances of this in the last few months, but someone that didn't know we existed, needed what we provide, they don't have family local, they weren't able to even do date nights or, whatever, find out about us, get going, have a few sitters. And they were just like, I mean, Alex looked at me and said, "You have changed our life." And I'm like, that's fun to me, and it's like, isn't it amazing that it doesn't have to be something so serious, right? Like it's not, I don't feel like what we do is life changing, but it is for some people.
For sure.
And so I was, and then there's been more than one of those of just like, wow, I can't believe we didn't know this. I can't, we've needed this for so long. Like, and so that's why I laughed about the people that are like, you just have, that's just the best idea. And I'm like, well, I didn't come up with it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't me, but just building the awareness has really been fun because there are so many people that want and need what we offer that didn't know we were here. So that has been my favorite part.
So if people need to book something, do they go on?
They call
online? This is where we like flash her number on the bottom of the screen. Text, call anytime, any day.
So we do have, the process of getting kind of enrolled and ready to go. We want to learn about your family so that we make sure that we, send the right person. And, but once we've kind of gone over that and we have everything in the computer, then they use the app and they can book right from there. They can call us and we can get them booked. Maybe they look at the app and it's like, I needed somebody, this Friday until this time and there's not anyone available. Well, if you call us, we're going to get a lot further than, or actually right in the app, there's a little thing at the bottom that says, don't see what you're looking for. Click here and you can put in an open shift and then that will alert us and we'll start working on finding the right person for you. So
that's cool.
So there's, a lot of different options for getting booked at that point. And obviously if we're talking about like a placement with this, the regular schedule, then that's something that we would work on as far as maybe we have someone on staff that's looking for more regular hours and we're going to match you with them, or maybe they're not the right fit. And so we're going to go ahead and start recruiting and finding the right fit for you. So
have you ever thought about having any kind of a brick and mortar, or are there any Jovies that do have a brick and mortar?
So any Jovies that do, it's more of like their office. It's not a daycare center. Okay. So we really, are focused on just a different a different thing. And honestly, that is kind of what drew me to it too, taking a leap of faith. And it's like, with this structure, I'm not, paying rent for somewhere or like hoping that the people are going to come. If we're not providing care, I'm also not paying someone to stand in an empty store like the furniture store or whatever, right? Yeah. So as it being a totally new concept for me and just like, could we do this? Those were kind of the things I was thinking about of just like, this feels lower risk because we don't have all of that overhead, right? So that is nice. And we have thought about a brick and mortar for office locations, but not necessarily to be, again, we're not trying to compete with the daycares. It's just not our thing. We're trying to fill in the gaps around what the daycares provide.
Cool. So if anybody needs to reach out to you,
call Danielle. No, just kidding.
Don't reach out to you.
No, just kidding.
They can go to the website or download the app.
Jovie website's going to ask you for your zip code, and then you can fill it out there, or you could just call our number, which is on all of our stuff, website and everything, Google. You can send us an email. I mean, smoke signal. We'll take whatever you need. And we'll help you out. So.
There's going to be some mom out there and
I laugh about Washington County schools. I'm like, they send, everything. I'm like, I get a text, an email, a phone call, a smoke signal, everything. I'm like, for like weather closures. And I'm like, okay, I heard you.
Yeah.
The same thing, we will help you however you feel comfortable reaching out. You can text our number, call our number, email, inquire online. I mean, there's so many different ways you can get to us. Jovie, Jovie. Sometimes
I was just going to ask you, please spell it.
Yeah, sometimes people drop the E, or I get a lot. What? Just. And fun fact, it was college nannies, sitters, and tutors. They dropped tutoring around COVID, and then it was College Nannies and Sitters. And then I think it was roughly 2022, it switched to Jovie. And so if I do meet anybody that's familiar with what we do, they knew it when it was College Nannies and Sitters.
Is it an acronym, or is it like, do you know what it's named after?
No.
Okay.
It's a marketing thing. I don't know.
Oh, okay. There's some, I didn't know if there was like some girl out there
Something
named
fun.
Jovie.
No.
She grew up and had this
No, but
dream.
our brand president did, he and his wife, he was Elf. He was Buddy the Elf for Halloween, and his wife was Jovie. Her name is Jovie in that movie.
Okay, that's right. That's what her name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, I don't know where exactly the
name came
Jovie name came from.
What sounds like
it's fun.
You have an opportunity to make a cool story then with it.
Yeah, let's just make something up.
Or make it turn into an acronym of something. But that, you got some tough letters.
Yeah,
Jovie.
yeah.
Woof, that could be really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming this morning and talking and just
thank
sharing.
You for
and
having us.
It was cool to learn about Florida. Got that
Florida
similarity.
Check. Go Gators.
Yeah.
That's gets us in trouble around here.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm fine. I don't follow any
Listen,
college
we
sports.
both graduated from there. It's not like we didn't just pick it. Like we went to school there. So we have to be loyal, right?
Yeah, you're good. It's all good. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for having us.
This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co-ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to OutpostRoastersJC.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for.